Alright, so it's a very big topic, and honestly, I can understand why this has blown up in the way that it has, but at the same time, it wouldn't be the Montreal Canadiens fanbase without a tad pinch of overreaction. Right? I think there are so many out there who have extremely strong opinions about this, and I just wanted to discuss those opinions and the situation as a whole, kind of get into why I'm not really panicking too much, but you know what? It is what it is, so at the end of the day, this is our Montreal Canadiens Stanley Cup Playoff thing. Thank you to those in the previous Canadiens video yesterday who commented saying, Pats, if you want a chance to be featured in the next Canadiens video, then hey, stick around to the end of this one for the comment section keyword. But yesterday we had headlines that were absolutely huge in Habs land, because we had ourselves what was a practice done with the team, as the team would normally do. And in this practice, we had ourselves what were a few interesting notes. First off, Brendan Gallagher. Hey, this guy coming back. He says he is 100% confident that he will be back for Game 1 versus the Leafs, and he wouldn't play if he wasn't healthy enough to contribute. That is a very good thing, because Brendan Gallagher, as we know, when it comes to the Canadiens, he is one of the only guys who is actually capable of forcing offense through concentrated power of will. He had 14 goals in 35 games played and 23 total points, and we've known him in the past to be a 30-ish, 25-ish kind of goal scorer. So this is a very good acquisition coming back into the Canadiens lineup. It's been about 6 weeks since he is actually suited up here. So yeah, Brendan Gallagher coming back, that concentrated power of will. You could say he's kind of lucky. You could say he's got some skill, some pleasure, and some pain, and 100% reason to remember the name. But aside from the Brendan Gallagher news, we had some other things. Some were good, some were seen as really, really bad. Hey, you know what's really good though? Phillip Danault. This guy's coming back, taking part in practice. If he is indeed in the lineup, then we will indeed have ourselves Gallagher and Danault coming back in, and that itself sounds like a great thing. But aside from those two pieces of news, we had some other news that really got people up in arms, because we also had Jesperi Kotkaniemi, Cole Caufield, and Michael Frolik wearing gray jerseys, indicating extra players. Gallagher was wearing a red one, so he appeared to be ready to return. And when you take a look at the implications, you say to yourselves, okay, the Montreal Canadiens might not actually play Kotkaniemi, Caufield, and Frolik in Game 1. They might suit up Eric Staal. Gallagher's coming back. What gives? The fact is, this was made even worse amongst the fanbase when Eric Staal's advice came out to young players who may find themselves on the odd one out list for Game 1. He said, stay with it. No team goes on to win the Stanley Cup using the exact same lineup for their entire run. And this quote getting posted got a whole bunch of Canadiens fans all super upset because, wow, how does Eric Staal get to say that when he's the guy who is out here not playing well, and Kotkaniemi was this in the bubble and all that, and Caufield is also a goal scorer? Why is Staal in the lineup? And you know, I can totally understand why the Canadiens fanbase would be upset about this, but at the end of the day, you know, at worst, the Canadiens are playing 4 games out there in the playoffs. If they end up crapping the bed in games 1 and 2 because they get shut out twice in a row, I would not be surprised if they went out there and they said, okay, we need to ice the best lineup possible. Let's go out there, let's put in Caufield, and, I don't know, scratch somebody and put in Kotkaniemi instead. There probably would be some adjustments made along the way. It's just, with the way things are right now, I get that you could very well argue that, oh, Cole Caufield being out of the lineup and having Eric Staal in is not icing your best version of the lineup, but positionally, it doesn't really make all too much sense. Caufield's in a position where the reason he's getting taken out is because, hey, Brendan Gallagher's back. Gallagher is a right-wing guy. Caufield is also a right-wing guy, technically. So when it comes to the depth chart, having Eric Staal as the replacement isn't necessarily something you can go ahead and straightforwardly do. Furthermore, with Jesperi Kotkaniemi, he's in a position where it's not just Eric Staal per se who is in that spot in the lineup, but you also have Jake Evans to consider, and of course that Michael Frolik who ended up getting taken out as well. But you know, even though there are all these rationales behind it that yes, the Canadiens can indeed just go out there and change their lineup for Game 2, should things not go their way in Game 1, I get it, but at the same time I can totally understand why people are still kind of upset about it, because yeah, Kotkaniemi in the bubble last year was absolutely ballistic. This guy was out there scoring points like crazy, and we all kind of remember what happened in the bubble. It was not even a year ago. It was like, how long ago was the bubble? 5, seven months ago? Yeah, something like that. And KK was legitimately a very, very good scoring threat back then in that time frame. However, it has been noted that he has indeed been a little bit worse this year, so at the very least there is an argument to have Staal over KK. Mostly because if you want to go off of how exactly things are, the established status quo of these players, Kotkaniemi in this season, in general, has been a little bit worse than the bubble Kotkaniemi last year. That's not to say that he cannot be better, but it's not guaranteed. Eric Staal's a guy who has been pretty meh this season with the Canadiens especially, but they want to go with that experience factor, and they're going to go out there and say, okay, for the start of the playoffs for Game 1, we're going to go out there, we're going to make Eric Staal the guy because he is a veteran, he's got a Stanley Cup, he's played, 60-something playoff games, and last season with the Wild in the bubble, he was honestly pretty good too. Furthermore, I actually didn't know this until I saw this on Reddit, but Eric Staal actually is the second best face-off guy on the Canadiens. It might not feel like it, but there are indeed some wins that he does get in the dot once in a while. So having that experienced guy who might be able to win one important face-off or two might be seen as something that you would rather do instead of icing a Kotkaniemi, who has been a lot more unstable this season than he has been in the past. That's kind of the rationale behind it if I had to try to justify it. Obviously, for me personally, I'd rather have Kotkaniemi in the lineup, but that's just me trying to go ahead and make that point as to why they would have started Staal. As for Caufield, though, this one's a lot more difficult to understand because if you do a Caufield out of the lineup instead, you're essentially saying that, okay, Paul Byron is in there over Caufield in the lineup. You have Lehkonen, a winger, also on this team, over Caufield in the depth chart, and it ultimately just says that Caufield is the guy who is the most expendable here, despite being one of, if not the most absolutely capable guys at scoring goals on this team. And that kind of contradicts the entire idea that the Canadiens are going to go out there and just play hockey against Toronto, because Toronto, as we all kind of know, they're really gosh darn good. These guys are all capable of producing points all throughout the lineup, and if you're going to go out there trying to win a defensive battle against Toronto, it's really going to depend on your own defensive capabilities and your goaltending, that in which the Canadian side isn't really all too guaranteed to being great at. So what would the contrary be to that? Hey, it would be beating them by scoring more goals. I know hockey is quite literally a game, you score more goals than your opponent and you win, but there's a difference between winning your games 2-1 and winning your games 5-3. There's an opportunity here for a guy like Cole Caufield to come out onto the lineup and just be the guy, because he's been the guy everywhere else he has been in his hockey career. And he's shown so far at the AHL level and in his limited sample size in the NHL that he can score goals at this level. So even though he's a rookie, even though he's played less than 15 games, even though he is technically behind all of these other wingers in the depth chart, there still is that question to be asking yourself, are we icing the best version of this lineup? And that's kind of why fans are confused. Fans are a little bit upset to see that Caufield might not be in the lineup Game 1. But again, devil's advocate to that, it's only gonna be 1 or 2, maybe even 3 games at the max. The Canadiens will have an opportunity or 2, maybe 3, for guys like Caufield and Kotkaniemi to go out there and actually play. Because come on, nobody's really expecting Montreal to win anyway, so why not just go out there and cycle the lines around, see what sticks and all that. It's just Eric Staal being that veteran guy who has had experience and a cup before, puts him in a spot where an NHL coaching staff is going to be like, oh, yeah, let's put that guy in because he's got all this stuff attached to his name. So, for me personally, I'm really not on board with the decision to sit Kotkaniemi and or Caufield in Game 1, but at the very least, I can understand it. This video kind of explains my thought process as to why they would do that. But of course, I'm still here in the same position as everybody else is. Wow, they're really going to not play Caufield in Game 1, eh? They're really gonna play Staal over Kotkaniemi in Game 1, eh? It's kind of whack, but hey, it is what it is. So if you made it to the end of this video, comment down in the comment section below Dragon Slayer, because Dragon Slayer, that's Alex Burrows. He is a guy who is on the Canadiens coaching staff, and he is a very beloved member of the Vancouver Canucks Alumni Association. Comment that down in the comment section below for a chance to be featured in the next Canadiens video. Also, let me know your thoughts on the Kotkaniemi, Caufield potential scratching, who really knows, Eric Staal actually playing, and the entire rationale behind it. I tried to justify it here. Doesn't mean I believe it, just means that I'm trying to formulate reasons as to why it would be that way. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. Hope you enjoyed this episode of 99. And bye.